Welcome back to the Growing Band Director Podcast. This is episode 117 with Josh Gall, one of the co-founders of UDB, or Ultimate Drill Book. Josh, how's it going?
Going really, really well, Kyle. How are you?
Good, thanks. I loved all the stuff you guys were involved in with Drum Corps this year and all the social media stuff you guys do and the services you do for all of us band directors. So before we get into a couple of new platforms for you guys, can you do a quick review of the UDB company and where you guys started it and what it does?
Sure. Yeah. So Ultimate Drill Book was co-founded by myself and my brother Luke. And we actually started the company in 2010, started by selling physical books that just had better drill information on them. And then that matured into creating an app that would allow for students to have a personalized drill learning experience. Then we connected with Pieware. And so now drill can go from the designer to the students in a matter of a few seconds. And so UDB app is really our flagship product. And it's available in the US, throughout Europe, South America, and Japan. And it's been sort of the thing that has allowed for us to jumpstart a couple of other ideas, which I think we'll talk about today. But yeah, we're just professional band kids, and we got a chance to build this company. We've got 8 full-time employees right now, and things are going really well. We're really fortunate.
Very glad to hear it. And you're in your new studios.
Yeah, our brand new studios here in Austin, Texas, across the street from La Barbecue for any serious barbecue fans. But yeah, it's a great area, East Austin. And it's a studio that we built for the community. So of course we meet here regularly, but also, we've already hosted a number of events. There's band directors or musicians who are coming from out of town. We just open up our doors and say, hey, if you guys need a place to hang out, that's not a hotel conference room, like the doors are open, so we're really excited about what it will mean for the community moving forward.
Yeah. So for people who don't use UDB, who are marching band people, you really need to take the jump at some point. It's a game changer. I'll just say that. I say it over and over again. Josh, I had you on recently and featured it again in episode 101 just about 6 weeks ago. So people might be going, well, yeah, we've seen this before, but today we're going to feature some new stuff. So
Yeah.
let's dig in on Beam first. Beam is
Sure.
a digital way to store and use our sheet music library instead of the traditional means.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in our second year of a public beta with our brand new music app called Beam, like you just said. Just like UDB, it's a free download from the App Store. And because we're in our public beta, it's actually available for free worldwide right now. So
Right.
if you're a band, choir, orchestra, percussion ensemble, it supports all of those. And we really believe that the future of sheet music will be digital, but not only digital, but it'll curate all of the things that we wish that we had access to inside of in any proper rehearsal, or even we wish we had access to for our students outside of rehearsal. So it's a really exciting new part of our lineup.
So we're gonna get into it a little bit here. So say people decided to do this and get started. Is it through Dropbox that they start digitizing everything?
Yeah, so we connect right now Beam through Dropbox, Google Drive, or actually we allow for users to connect to local storage. So if they've
Okay.
got things in iCloud, if they've got things on their tablet, or if they've even got things on their desktop, we're working on a Mac compatible version of this first, but then we'll work on a web version. But yeah, if you've got files that are available either locally or on the cloud, it can connect to Beam.
So if you have everything on there and students need their own device in order to be able to see the music, right?
Yep.
Yep. So how do you, I also know that if, as a conductor, if you have the score up and then you change pieces on your device, it changes the pieces on everybody else's device.
Yeah. So that's a really special feature inside of Beam called Live Mode, which allows for a director to pull up a piece, it pulls up on the students' devices, or even allows for the director to say, like, hey, we're not going to play for a little while. I'm going to put my screen to sleep, and it puts all of the student screens to sleep. Right. So there's those kinds of things. But then there's also tied into that. We've also got a global annotation and sharing system that allows for directors or even like leadership or principal players to go in and mark something on a part, and then that shows up for everybody else in their section.
So we're going to show a short promo video by Dr. Tim Zachary. Where does he teach?
So Dr. Tim Zachary is the director of bands at Prairie View A&M University, has been there for a number of years, was also at Norfolk State University, an incredible trumpet player, and just an incredible guy.
So let's check out his
We
testimonial.
were already digital, and the format that we were using worked at the time for what we were doing. And the students were happy with it. And I said, hey, there's something new coming out down the pipe. We're definitely gonna give it a try, and we'll see. We'll weigh one against the other. And it was like a one-day turnaround.
I personally love Beam because not only does it cut the music a certain way where I can see it better, but you can also write notes and annotate it on it as well without your paper moving around or you losing your notes and stuff like that.
So everyone's all over the place as far as how we relate to technology. But this particular technology is user-friendly, so it's accessible to all of us. Therefore, even throughout all those varying ages, we're able to be productive using this technology, which I don't think there are very few apps out there where it would actually transcend age.
One is that it works on airplane mode, so I can turn off all my Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, I'm still on my music. But then the two, I can be on the app and the director can change the music for me, whatever song he wants to look at now. So we're looking at song A, and he says, all right, we're gonna go to song B, rather than me trying to flip through and find song B, click, all right, you're already on it. I think that is so cool because that just, it changes right in front of you, like, what just happened? But it's like, you know, it takes away the time that's used to try to find and pull up the music too.
Once I put something in Beam, I have it in two places because I had to get it from some place to put it into the Dropbox. So now I always have the full file. I can go next door to a library, it's complete. It's in order, everything is filed, but every other box is missing a part. But now when I go back to play a piece, I know that I have all the parts. Now they have access to all the parts and they can see where all the parts overlap and how to rehearse with other sections to make these parts better. Where else can you do that?
So very well done video. I wanted to just mention a couple things that I saw. So individual mode. So kids can annotate on their own, but it only shows up on their part and not somebody else's part. Say there's a bunch of alto ones, right? It's all individual.
Yeah. So there's two types of annotations. There's shared annotations and then personal annotations. So yep, exactly to your point.
And then, but if say they're playing a piece all together, the kids are required to scroll as they're playing, or does that happen automatically for them?
So right now, there's nothing that's happening automatically as it relates to scrolling. Depending on how a piece of music is formatted, though, if you're in performance and you don't want the students to have to switch pages, you can also trigger that in live mode by setting it up by certain pages. So like page 1 would be sort of its own song, page 2 would be its own song, and then as you're getting to the end of that first page, just one person can trigger that, and it flips the page for everybody.
Super cool. And then airplane mode. That's awesome. So they can't do anything else except for use it.
Yeah. So that's a feature that's sort of like trickled over from UDB a little bit. And one of the things that was really important to us, especially when we're getting into the music side of things, because that's going to be happening sort of in the traditional classroom a little bit more frequently, is we wanted for band directors to be able to say, or choir directors or orchestra directors to say like, all right, go ahead and put your tablet or your phone in airplane mode, just so that way they're conserving battery, but also sort of like ideally not using other things, on their device as well. But related to that, we've also enabled a feature where a director can limit the ability to screen record or take screenshots. So for composers or arrangers who are concerned about, now my music is digital and kids can just post this part, we've actually made that a toggle so the directors can disable that.
That's awesome. So one thing that's great about your company is you guys are band directors, and all of you did you say that all 8 of you are musicians, music teachers?
Yeah, everybody on our team are music teachers. A number of us were band directors in a former life or a current life, right? But yeah, every single person on our team is a musician.
So when people call and need assistance with something, the customer service is top notch. I can speak for.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it means a lot to us, and that's honestly the thing that's at the top of our priority list at all times. Because look, technology with anything, even Facebook and Apple, they're going to have issues with technology, but the thing that keeps you coming back, specifically with like an Apple, if you will, is that their customer service is substantial, and you're going to get somebody who wants to get to that solution with you. And and when somebody calls us and they're on the marching band field and we hear a metronome in the background and they're saying like, hey, this kid's phone isn't working.
These
like,
are my people.
So we understand exactly what they're talking about. Or they're saying like, yeah, there's a car parked on the back hash. What can I do? Like we know that life. And so we can speak directly to it and we can help them troubleshoot, with a great level of a great level just of awareness of what they're
Yep.
going through.
And with the beta version, people can do it for free.
Yeah.
When is it going to turn into a paid service?
So starting in the next school year, so for 24-25
Yep.
is when it'll turn into a paid subscription similar to that of UDB. We've not announced pricing for that,
Okay.
but of course, anybody who is a current UDB user, we're going to try our best to find ways to bundle that to sort of incentivize,
Yep.
using the products together, especially because the future of these, not yet, but the future of these two products will connect to one another, and you'll be able to do some really, really cool stuff with
That's
that.
awesome. A hint
Yeah.
towards the future. I
Yeah.
also like, just speaking for UDB on my end, it's $10 a kid for the year. So I'm not saying that's what it is for Beam, but it's a great service for not a lot of price.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we often, you know, we often will ask directors and say, like, what's one other thing that you can spend $10 on that's going
Hmm.
to change the entire season for those students?
And it
That's
totally
but
does.
yeah. So it's, and truthfully, like, when Luke and I started the company a number of years ago, the very first version of any of this stuff was, like electronically at least, was like $4. And you would have thought that we were, asking for $1,000 a kid, right? And so, as times change, as devices become more ubiquitous, those kinds of things, like there's, we're really fortunate that I think directors and most importantly school systems are starting to see the value. So more and more school systems are starting to buy this for all of the programs in their district, which means a lot.
Love it. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, we're going to do a little visual demo, a little bit about what you see here when you're working with Beam.
Yeah, so just really, really simple interface, which was very intentional on our part. So the library is organized into what you can see here: all songs, which is your full library; collections, which are songs that are sort of like, and similar in one way, shape, or form. So you'll see here, like, here's all of our show music, or maybe here's like our warm-ups. And then we've got something that's called a set list. And a set list is a collection of music where the order matters, right? So we're going to play, for timeout one, we're going to play this song, followed by this song, followed by this song. Or for, the first half of the concert, we're going to play these 5 tunes in this order, right? So that's how this is all organized. Really, really straightforward. What you're seeing here is the director is exactly what the students see. And they just tap on a song, they choose their part, and then it pulls up, downloads, and it's available offline. So it's not using constant internet connectivity. And then here on the part, right, like we were talking about earlier, if you look here in the top left corner, I'm switching back and forth between what we call personal and shared or global notes, right? So if I'm a student and we're in rehearsal, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this part, because I know that if I don't, Mr. Smith is going to take me off of it, right? So I'm just highlighting that part, or I might even go in and, like, go ahead and put a bigger red box around that. Really critical. Now that, of course, that personal annotation is available to me and me only. But if I'm a principal player, or if I'm like a staff member, if I tap on this, right, the shared note option, you'll see my personal note hides, and then I can go in here, and then whatever I draw here on this part, as soon as I tap back up on this annotation bar, it's going to show up for everybody else in this section who's looking at that same part. So super helpful in the course of rehearsal to, like, be able to catalog your notes, and you could say, like, all right, cool, like, I've gotten better at this, so I'm going to go and erase this bar because I don't have to worry about it anymore. Cool, saved, I'm done. But also, and Dr. Zachary sort of alluded to this in the video, right? The ability for a director to say, like, hey, could everybody just pull up another part real quick? So if I just tap on this Beam button and tap on switch part, I can just tap on full score or whatever it might be. Now that's downloaded, and I, as the clarinet player, I can be looking at the full score, including, any annotations that were there, right, from the director. And then when I'm done, I can just switch back over to my clarinet part, and then boom, it's there. So for a director in any ensemble, orchestra, choir, jazz, etc., like, for the students to be able to quickly reference another part or a score, like, that's significant, and that's just not been available to us.
So the question I had is, you say they click on it and it downloads quickly. So does that mean they need to, like UDB, they need to download it before they're on airplane mode?
Yeah, well, so, like, technically airplane mode doesn't force you out of Wi-Fi. It sort of tells a number of services to sort of stop using them, but you can turn off airplane mode and then turn off Wi-Fi, which sort of shuts the device fully down, right? However, yes, once the song is downloaded, you can go completely offline. It stays there offline. It's available, and it's like the size of a picture that you would text somebody. So, it's not like students are going to notice that their phones are starting to take up a bunch of space, or their tablets. But yeah, as soon as it's downloaded, it stays available offline. So you'll even see here, like when I go back into Brooklyn, if I tap on switch part, I can already see both the full score and clarinet. They have that little green icon next to them.
Mm-hmm.
That shows that those are already available offline. So like if I tap on that, you'll see how quick it is to pull that up. All right. So switch back to the clarinet part, super fast. And so we also have an option that was really important, and was an idea from our incredible director of product, Stuart Schulman. If you see here in the top right corner, there's an option for download all parts. So if you want to be, if you're rehearsing somewhere that has no connectivity or anything like that, you can tap on that download all parts, and you got all of the parts available to you, literally just a single tap.
Super cool. Love it.
Yeah, so that's Beam in a nutshell. One other thing I'll show you, just because it's cool, is that if you've got music that's not been formatted properly for like the device size,
Mm-hmm.
right? The students can, or the directors, like you can just go in and like sort of resize it by like a pinch to zoom, and then in the top right corner you'll see this like 4 arrows icon.
Yeah.
So I can tap on save zoom level, and so now every time I open up that part, it's going to like smart crop it for my device.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, so that's Beam. Again, it's completely free for the rest of this school year, and we're going to be running some really incredible updates that are coming here in the next couple of weeks, and we're really excited for the community. The schools and ensembles that have been using Beam have been floored with what it's doing, and especially understanding that like this is just the first iteration. So we're really excited to share this with the community.
Do you have a tool on here that also helps that high D at the end be in tune?
Yeah, it's called Tacit. So you just write that in. So that'll definitely be in the pro version of the app. We'll add an extra octave key, those kinds of things.
I also loved the competition that you guys had at DCI finals when what do the kids have to do?
Yeah. So this year this is maybe our 4th or 5th year for the UDB tour fee giveaway. Yep. And so one of the things that we do is we run this nationwide contest where students fill out an application. They write a letter, sort of expressing why they would like to be able to write march drum corps. Then the directors will write a letter of support, and then the community votes to get students to semifinals, and then we pick three finalists who we fly out to Indianapolis, all expenses paid. Put them up in a beautiful Airbnb, shuttle them around for the week, feed them snacks and goldfish and whatever they want for the week, and then take them to all of our drum corps. And then on semifinals night, they get to compete on the field for their tuition to be paid. So they do a marching band obstacle course. And so they start by marching 8 steps at an 8 to 5 with a trumpet. And then they have to throw 2 singles on a rifle. Then they have to remove a snare drum head from a snare. Then they have to throw get 3 dot books into these like crates that are 5 yards away from them, do a gush and go. And then whoever crosses the finish line first, we pay for them to march drum corps. And then the other two finalists, we also scholarship them and then connect them with members of our education team for like free lessons.
So I'll say half jokingly, but also kind of serious. Watching that was almost as entertaining as watching the shows, because I was rooting for the kids. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's something that has meant a lot to us, and truthfully, it was Luke's brainchild a number of years ago. It was sort of modeled after the Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway that you would see like in a college bowl game. And so he brought the idea to the table, and we sort of just poured some fuel on the fire, and here we are, a bunch of years later.
And so great for those kids. Thanks again. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, let's dig into Stride TV. This is sort of, I remember last time we talked, you said it's kind of like YouTube, but for band directors.
Yeah. So Stride TV is the newest the newest branch of the company. And the easiest way to think about it is sort of like Netflix for the arts. So one of the things that we've learned increasingly over time is you know, the ability for an educator, and I'll just use band examples here for a second, but like, you know, 10 or 15 years ago, you could ask a trombone player in your section, hey, just go on YouTube, Joe Alessi, like any video that has Joe Alessi's name in it, it's going to be awesome. You know, just watch it and listen to that sound. That's what you're trying to recreate. Things are a little different now because there's going to be like 500, you know, versions of like, I wish I was Joe Alessi videos, you know. So with us being teachers, but then also like really us being encouraged by the flipped classroom model, which sort of COVID, like really like, you know, just it forced people into, but really like we saw that as an opportunity to say like, hey, we should create like a highly curated, super high quality space for education to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, like we're the core and the thing that we're starting this with are sort of band and marching band related things and drum corps, but very quickly we wanted to say, wait a second, like we're really passionate about the arts and there's great teachers around the world, and maybe they don't have the same, you know, the same opportunities to share their passions with kids that they did 5, 10, 15 years ago for any number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that combined with us being sort of a media company that also builds apps for the classroom, we said let's create our own streaming service. And so that's how Stride TV was born. And so we are, it's something that's a huge part of our everyday right now. And even just in its infancy, it's been incredible to see how the community has started to embrace it, and even just the level of subscriptions that we weren't even anticipating this early. It was really, really promising. So I'd love to show you a little bit about it, because we think in just a matter of time, not only is it going to be like a great resource for people who want to learn, but also a great resource for people who want to be entertained through artistic content that's like really beautifully shot, really beautifully curated, and then also a way for creators to actually make money creating, right? As opposed to like, I'm going to put up this stuff on YouTube and hope I can get a bunch of subscribers and hope that I can, you know, play into that algorithm. We're interested in creating an opportunity for creators to like be able to make a living creating and sharing their passions with the world, especially through the arts.
All right, so this is what Stride TV looks like.
Yeah, so right now I'm just, you know, on a browser. Stride TV is available not only on browsers, but also as an iOS and Android native app. So it's really, really beautiful, regardless of sort of the platform that you're looking at it on. So what we're looking at right now is just sort of the full library of, you know, of some of the content that's on here. So I'll show you some examples here in just a second. Right, but you can see that we've got everything from instructional videos to like this series that we did in coordination with Drum Corps International last year, where we got a lot of the world's best designers to sort of break down their shows with us. We've got our incredible brand new UDB virtual curriculum, which is about 50 videos that cover all things movement related. I'll show you a little bit of that about that. But then we've also got like other instructional things. So like Blue Coats did a clinic with us at TBA that we like produced in a really high quality format. Also the same thing with Vandergrift Drumline, or like clinics that we've done in other places. So so this is really just like a high level snapshot of Stride TV, but I'll show you some of the content now, and I'll show you examples. So as I mentioned, the UDB virtual curriculum was a brainchild of ours that really stemmed out of, you know, sort of the very beginning of the pandemic. And so we wanted to create opportunities for the world's best instructors to be available to teachers and students, regardless of, you know, what their budgets are, where they're located. And so we worked with educators like Michael Rosales from Santa Clara Vanguard, Samia Vanderkoff from Blue Coats, Lindsay Schuler, from the Troopers, and then Reed Atkinson from our education, our director of education here, for students to be able to learn things like proper dance position, you know, approach, but then also like not only just teach it, but then like participate, and then like let's do a test. So that's what I'm going to share with you right now. So here's the end of Michael teaching. I think it's maybe open second position, and then here's him quizzing the student or the director in real time.
Good. Right leg to.
So let me back it up a little bit.
There's your positions. All right, guys, now that we've learned our position, we're going to do a little position test with you guys. Let's start in our first position. I want to see you take your left leg to second position. Left leg to first position. Right leg to second position. That's it. Right leg to third position. Yep.
So as you're
Right
watching
leg
this, right, you can
to second
imagine,
position.
you know, teachers, they can put this up, you know, on the projector in the
Right
front of their
leg
classroom,
back to
or they
first
can,
position.
or they can send it to their students at the beginning of the summer
Left leg
and say
to
like, hey,
fourth
learn these
position.
things, because when we get to band camp, let's actually
Check your
start
feet.
practicing those things as
Check
opposed
your
to
hips.
like learn them from the.
Good. Left leg back to.
So that's just one example of the positions in Tandu.
That's great.
Series from Michael Rosales, who's just a master educator and a great friend of the of Ultimate Drill Book. We've also got things like a podcast series. So we've got an incredible new podcast that's called Fin Forte, that's organized and hosted by our director of media, Amanda DeFries, who you see here. And she's now completing her second season of Fin Forte. And it's a series, a podcast that just focuses on like incredible women educators through the arts. And so here's an example of that podcast with Jana Harvey, just one of the absolute best people in this world, but one of the directors from Flower Mound High School, which is about as good as you can get given this. So anyways, just a quick little example of the Fin Forte podcast here on Stride TV.
I'm a band director, you know. I mean, she showed me, you know, and just, you know, her humor and, you know, of course, her knowledge of all of music in all of that, and her love for music, you know, I was able to pick up on that. Neither one of my parents were musicians. And so she just showed me at an early age what was, I think, possible. And I always wanted to be her, you know, I wanted to be Cindy, you know,
Yeah.
you know, as I was growing up, you know.
Yeah. And so
Incredible podcast that's starting the Stride TV sort of podcast network, and there's going to lots more to come there. And we've also got this incredible series called Inside Drum Corps, again, which we did with in coordination with Drum Corps International. And for anybody who's a director, a drum corps enthusiast, or even like a designer, like these are, you know, this is like the gold that we all wish that we had. And so here's the one and only Richard Hinshaw, who designed for the Colts, or still designs for the Colts, but also like Avon High School and a bunch of other great schools. Here's him breaking down the Colts production, and you'll see like he's able to talk about it, break it down, play by play, you know, drawing on the screen kind of thing. So I'll show you that now.
And a high cam, but these musical soloists are on the wagon. So the first one was the trombone, and then a baritone ensemble on this other wagon, and then the whole thing builds in, right? And then the whole thing builds around this snare feature too. So we're using all the elements to work together. And then the pre-planning again to set up a brass feature. So we're building back to front. We had to get the trumpets to the wagon to start, then the mellophones add in front of them, then the baritones and tubas in front of that. And this one was a challenge because at a lot of the smaller stadiums earlier in the summer, a lot of these dense ideas didn't read the way that they would read from this vantage point. So there was a little bit of questioning this part at times, and then the difficulty of the trumpets all the way back on the wagon, and then layering not just stage right to stage left, but layering from back to front, which is harder musically. And as you could see, we're setting up for another percussion moment. And so we had moments of wanting to change this part, and we actually stuck with it. And as the core got cleaner, so that we could see through the layers, and we got in the bigger stadiums, the evaluation became a better evaluation of, oh, this works great because I can really see through all the densities.
So incredible series that we did.
That's amazing.
With Colts,
Amazing.
Carolina Crown, Blue Coats, Troopers, the list goes on, but it's really spectacular, and you sort of see over here. So like Rick Subel and Molly Favre just talking about like aesthetics with Carolina Crown, Island Viorel like talking about movement with Blue Coats. It's just on and on, like just
Wow.
It's all the stuff that we wish that we had growing up, you know, as sort of a sneak peek into the activity. And the last thing that I'll mention, it's very much in that same vein. So here's a clinic that we shot and produced with the Blue Coats at the Texas Bandmasters Association clinic last year. And you got to see, you know, there's maybe 1,000 band directors here, and they got to see the Blue Coats staff and the designers, both John Vanderkoff and Samia Vanderkoff, design in real time, right? And so I'll share just, you know, a minute or so of that.
Sure. Okay, we'll do
we'll do a couple different versions. Okay, so dancers. Now they're dancers. So we're going to take our horns off of our face for this move. We're not playing for this part. This is a pit feature. So bring your horns down right when you leave or right when you start to emphasize your departure. And John said something about taking up space and some curvilinears. Still keep that, but number one is as you do that, you need to be aware of the people around you. So once you find a pathway that works for you, try to be consistent with that. Number two, open up your eyes and your focus and your awareness. If you get pretty close to someone, here's an opportunity. Let's say we leave, kind of go. Okay, and then now slow down. Slow down. Okay, and then you do that thing, do that. That was cool. Do that turnaround. Okay, and as you're doing that, what if I was coming around here and, oh, we had a moment. So now we have a moment of connection, right? Okay, so now if you see someone else, make a connection with them, cool. That would be great. Go back. Thank you, Nick. Now when you leave, let's leave on the whole counts just so we can see a little bit more clarity on the departure. And
so for those who are watching the podcast, they're seeing, not only is this captured, but like we have also sort of curated all of the most important points of all of these things. And so like when they start moving or they start marching, we then overlay the UDB file so you can see that in real time. And so really, I mean, this is just a huge resource for creators, for learners, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I can imagine.
But what Stride TV will be for the community, we feel like is a really, really important signal.
It's amazing. How do people submit content, or is it basically you guys are getting content right now?
Yeah, so it is something that we are organized in the way that we invite creators to Stride TV. In the future, there will be opportunities for people to say, hey, I'd like to be a Stride TV creator. Those things aren't quite ironed out yet, but where we're starting is going to be like us continuing to sort of curate creators. And then we've got some really, really exciting stuff planned, both on the education side, but also the entertainment side.
It's fantastic. What's the pricing of Stride TV?
So Stride TV, there is a free option that gives you everything for 7 days. Then it's just super cheap. It's either $5 a month or $30 for the year for the entire catalog. Plus you get like early access to like Femme Forte podcast episodes, plus lots of other stuff that's going to start to roll out into the calendar. So for $30 a year for you to be able to get access to this content, we're really excited about it.
What you guys are doing for music education is just fantastic. So I thank you so much. Josh, thanks for taking the time being with us today, and let's keep in touch.
Kyle, thanks so much for having me.
We sincerely appreciate you taking your valuable time and listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. Your students are very lucky to have a band director like you. If you have any suggestions for episode topics or think you have an area of expertise to share on a show with us, please reach out. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe as well. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Growing Band Director.